Welcome to our Toyota Tundra refresh presented by Continental Tire. That's right, everyone. It's time to give my 2008 Toyota Tundra a bit of a refresh, actually a pretty big refresh, and that's because, well, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you know this is our shop truck, our work truck, and has been for a lot of years. We've piled a lot of miles on it, and we need to give it a good overhaul, and one of the things we're going to do is actually replace the tires. These Terrain Contact ATs have a lot of miles on them, so it's time to replace them, and we're going to mix it up just a little bit by going with Continental's Terrain Contact HT, and I believe the HT might imply highway rather than A for all terrain. I'm not entirely sure, but this is more street oriented, so I'm thinking it may be a little bit quieter, maybe a little bit more plush of a ride too. But we're curious to try them because we've never tried the HTs before. So we'll obviously give you guys an update on them once the truck's been refreshed and we're out on the road on them. But there's a whole lot of other things that need to be done. We should mention this truck has almost 300,000 kilometers on it now, which is about 185,000 miles. And man, the brakes are worn out. As I mentioned, the tires have a lot of miles on them. The suspension is getting a little soft. Out back, you may have noticed that we've put a cap on it. This is an ARE cap. I think they're Z series, if I'm not mistaken. We bought this secondhand and it happened to be painted the right color for the truck. And the reason we put it on there is I make a lot of trips to the border to pick up parts, and it's just nice having more enclosed space for picking up things like tires and wheels and, big boxes. And I think it kind of gives it a bit of a cool look. Let us know in the comments if you're a fan of the capped look. I like to think it makes it look a little overlandy, but you may disagree. One of the taillights is cracked too, so those are gonna get changed out. There's just a whole bunch of work. There's little details that we need to fix too. That's right, everybody. That's what 14 years of winter use looks like on a 2008 Toyota Tundra. Things get rusty, and that's just the nature of the beast here. We have so much road salt in the winter. Wreaks havoc on everything and kind of leaves you with what feels like a, aesthetically nightmarish scenario. But luckily, a lot of these big suspension bolts are large enough that, we can get a big tool on it. It shouldn't seize, although I shouldn't say that.
You're jinxing
myself right from the start here. I take it all back. We're going to put heat into every nut and bolt that we need to. Hopefully we don't have to put it into the big bolts, but we're going to find out here. So, and rather than going into our usual montage of, slow motion panning shots while we make everything look easy, we're going to show you the real deal on this. We're going to take you through this, every nut and bolt, and show you the suffering that's involved in working on a Rust Belt truck like this. All right, trying this very long upper bolt that goes through the backside of this upper control arm.
Yeah, that's not going to be a problem at all, DP. No,
Jeez,
not at all.
It did move a little.
Did it?
Oh my God. I think I need the breaker bar. Oh yeah, it moved. I felt it move. Something I've always wanted to say on YouTube. Come on. Come on.
The bolt is moving.
Oh, the whole thing is moving?
The whole thing is moving. I just saw that side move,
God.
DP. Of course, we already need two people on this.
Yeah.
I got the extension here. Okay, go.
Ready? Holy Jesus. I think I need an extension pipe on here. Now, if this cracks loose on me, I'm going to smash the shit out of the fender, but
well,
let's find out.
Oh.
Oh! Oh my God, that's the worst sound in the world.
Oh
my God.
So.
Holy cow, this is gonna take forever. This is like a foot-long bolt.
Well, this is just the easy part. We still have to remove it afterwards. That's where it's gonna get really fun. Okay. Can you do it by hand? Oh, finally. Now, can you spin it on your end easily?
Yep.
Okay, so that's a good sign.
All right, we're getting serious about the rest now, and that means it's time to bust out the Bolt Buster, which is a heat induction tool that we've showed you guys on the channel before. And the beauty of this is it puts a very targeted heat source onto a nut or bolt. Unlike, say, oxy torch or a propane torch where you've got a flame that's sort of splashing around and would be potentially like wrecking the boot on that upper ball joint. This puts all the heat where you want it, and in our experience works remarkably well as long as you get good contact with the end of the tool here. So as you can see, she's making smoke, which means she's making heat. So heat it up a little longer here, and then we'll crack this castle nut off. Just trying our little Milwaukee angle impact here, see if it'll do the job. Oh, like butter. There it goes. She's loose.
Listen to that raining down of rust.
Yeah, have a look at the floor. I mean, we did do the other side already, but man, it's gonna get rustier in here in a hurry. Now we gotta pull out this foot-long bolt, and you can see there's a hose here that's sort of in the way, so I'm gonna just try to pull the hose out of the way and sneak the bolt past it. But it's gonna be a bit of a struggle to get this guy out of here, I think. Oh my God. Well, it's moving. There's just so many hoses in this area, jeez.
I mean, what a great design, right?
Man.
That's just so smart.
We're off to a rough start here, folks, but we'll get this bolt out of here and we'll show you what this control arm looks like. But it is still moving. Just, man, it is so close. Oh, there we go. Woo! That's the most epic bolt I've ever had to deal with. Oh, can I get it out of here completely?
You got to kind of like,
squirm
it around.
Yeah.
Oh, don't put a hole in your rad though.
Oh, that's a good point.
Be
That's
careful.
a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm on board with you.
Now,
Around the light.
let's just pause and look at this arm.
Admire the excellence that is the Canadian climate.
At the rust. Ooh. Oh, that's beautiful right there.
That's the money shot. Look at that.
Look at that. Whoa.
Yeah.
And here is what is the miracle of rust is the bolt.
Yeah.
The bolt itself here. Look at
just the tip.
Clean as a whistle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, just craziness.
As a replacement, we are going with Dorman's premium range of control arms, and it has a brand new ball joint in it, which turns out to have been a very important thing because if you look at this one, it shouldn't sound like that, everybody. That is the ball trying to come out of the joint. It's got a lot of play in it. All right, I have greased this bolt so it doesn't seize up on us, and now we're gonna try to slide it in.
Attempt to do this ridiculousness.
Yeah, walk it in here. Oh man, okay. Hitting something that does not make me feel good about the world.
You can't see where you're putting that thing.
No.
Poking holes and stuff.
Sometimes that's a fun thing, but not when you're working on a Tundra. All right.
And a rusted one at that.
No.
Okay, you looks like you're close.
After much struggle, I've got it up in the right place.
And now that we've lubed it, it makes it super difficult to slide in. Yeah, I know.
I greased this thing up thinking I was being so smart, and now I can't slide the bolt in because it's too slippery. So, oh my God. Why, Peter? Why?
Well, why don't you ask the Toyota engineers that cleverly designed this?
No. I want to ask the Ontario provincial government why they salt the road so aggressively here. I mean, British Columbia, they don't salt. They get snow. Why do we have to be so mean to our roads and our cars here? Just learn to drive, people, and if it snows,
it's a conspiracy theory. There's salt. There's a lot of money being made on
salt lobby.
Salt.
Big salt. It's true.
That's right.
It's definitely big salt.
Well, Dave's had enough. He's tapping out. I'm tapping in here, and this means trying to get this outer tie rod loose. Not sure if we're going to change it right away, but let's see. And I don't even have a 30 mil wrench, so I'm using the old adjustable here. Oh. It went.
That was
Look at that. Still alive, which is a miracle of sorts.
I don't know how you even saw it. It was so well camouflaged by all the rest.
Yeah. And man, this again, you could use some heat here, but really, I'm just gonna push this down and pray that somehow I can
get out of there. We're gonna have to shear it off.
Get underneath there.
I admire your optimism, PC, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, somebody's pushed it and all. It's nicely tucked.
Yeah.
It's tucked and now rusted. So look at, yeah, it's not moving. I'm gonna break my tool here.
Yeah.
So now I've resorted to just chiseling off whatever I can here to get the socket on, and we'll see if the Milwaukee can handle the juice of breaking this loose. It's in. We got the big boy Milwaukee, and not a problem. Look at that. This is most certainly the destructive way to do this, but because we're not reusing this, I can just smash this here and have it come out like that. Here's our tie rod end from Dorman, and you can see it actually has a bunch of resistance when you try to move the ball joint, and as I said, the old ones, see, it's just shot. So it's certainly worth making those types of upgrades, especially while we're in here. We're just like so close to getting, you know, almost the whole entire front done. If I had it my way and we had a lot of time, we would replace this whole arm because it's rusty and unsightly, but maybe we would do the bearings as well, because the bearings on the wheel bearings here haven't been done either.
Really? Really?
I just, there it goes. I think it's, there it goes.
Eat some rust?
Right into the mouth.
That's part of the Canadian experience.
Of course, now I have to go to the bolt buster to heat the nut up to the point where the threads will flake, the rust will flake off much easier when the nut comes off, because I have to use an Allen and a wrench to get this off because it is spinning now. It's all about the heat. I'm just tired of doing it, DP.
I know, man.
I'm tired. It's like, you know the answer.
Every bolt.
You know the answer. The answer is just you gotta heat it up.
An extra minute of work for every nut and bolt.
Yeah.
It adds up.
Yeah, it's really, 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 really annoying. In order to take this lower control arm out, which we will be replacing as well, we need to crack this big alignment bolt loosen. Surprisingly, it's moving, which is good, which is a very good sign. That means it's not rusty. When we did the other side, we'll show you in a sec, there's this weird collar that goes inside of it for the eccentric part for the adjustment. It's not exactly great. So let's see how this side comes out. So you can see here now we have the bolt removed and I have the eccentric portion, and this should, see, it should spin, but instead what happens is this, because it's so rusty, it just comes right out of here. And now I'm gonna have to try to knock this out of the bushing, and let's hope that this isn't seized in here. Oh, you can see, it's got just a little bit of play. Oh no, it looks like it's seized in the bushing, DP.
Yep.
Oh, that's bad. Nope. Just rust.
It did move a little.
Is it?
Yeah, it moved a little bit.
Unfortunately, I'm like mushrooming this side, which is not great. I've got the afterburner on here in hopes of, you know, moving some stuff. So a small torch, I don't want to use the big one just yet. I'm thinking I'll give this a go. Oh, jeez, come on.
Wow.
You can see here, there's a lot of,
Yeah.
well, man, the freaking bushing. We are on to the big gun here. I really didn't want to have to do this, but we're going to melt some bushings, possibly cause a fire here. Let's see what happens.
Into that hole. On the other side, close to the axle too.
Oh, that's exactly the issue with this. Nope.
Still not moving. Holy cow.
Oh! Well, one side is broken.
There you go.
Jesus!
Wow.
We need a bigger breaker bar. Sadly, we don't do a lot of this, so we don't usually need this much weight.
Got bar bending. Holy
God damn, man.
Well, yeah, we do need like a 3/4 inch breaker bar, which is only half inch stuff.
Yeah, like, I mean, this is still pretty damn good, but
Flexing
just
a lot though.
yeah, that's the whole thing. I can't really
Wow.
tear them.
Yeah, you're gonna go flying too when it comes loose. Jeez.
Oh,
That's insane.
did you see that? I'm worried this is gonna like break
the
and
bar is bending tremendously. I'm surprised it hasn't broken.
I'm not necessarily sure if this is gonna do anything other than maybe it may expand the nut, but I don't know.
Worth a shot.
At this point, yeah, we're certainly,
Grasping at
we
straws here.
have to be able to break this loose one way or another.
There it goes. Full rage mode. Oh, I love it.
God. Oh my God, why? Why is it so tight? It's much of the same on the back here. This one though is completely corroded. Like it's gone. I'm not even gonna bother trying to do anything with it. So it's back to the Sawzall again, and yeah, chopping this guy out here. But it's crazy to see, because to contrast, on this side, we were able to pull both of these out without any real issue. So, and usually the driver's side is the one that has all of the salt in left-hand drive countries. It's hammering this side, but this side, for whatever reason, is just like severely corroded. Everything has been cut, much to my distaste here. So let's see now if I can get this whole damn thing out here without the suspension falling on my face, anything like that. It's a large. Oh.
There it goes.
Look at that. Look at the rust.
Yeah.
There, and look at this guy here. And you can't see it on this side, but right there, that is just like fully seized in there. What an absolute disaster.
Break some of the rust off of that arm too for everybody.
Watch.
Show them what the life is about.
Yeah, right here. Like, oh yeah, yeah. Like, look at the. Let's. I think it's time for a sweeping break here. That is unreal. Look at this.
It's that way.
It's flexing our cheap dustpan here. My God.
Yeah.
It's just so much rust. So much. Like, look at, this is what came off of this vehicle.
Just the front really too.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think.
Well, I think we are finally over the hump with this rust battle. So thank you, PT, for taking that on the nose, because that did not look like fun with the Sawzall and all in there. And I get to jump back in here and now talk about the shiny new parts. But before I do that, I'll show you the old OE shock and spring combo, which you will notice does have this spacer on top. So this is a Toy Tech spacer, which is designed to level the ride on a stock Tundra. So normally the truck has quite a bit of rake, so the nose is low. This lifts the front up so that it gives you a level ride height. That was literally the only mod we had made to the suspension of this truck. These are now 14 years old and getting a little soggy feeling. So in their place, we got what we call the good stuff. These are Eibach Pro Truck 2.0 coilovers. And as you can see, these are very big and beefy. They're designed to lift the truck between 0 and 2 3/4 inches. So they are a coilover system here. You can see we can adjust them. We're gonna set them in the middle of the range as a starting point because we're not really sure where they need to be to have a level ride. Out back, we're not putting in a coilover system because it's got springs in the back. Leaf springs in the back. But we are going to put in an Eibach Sport shock. So we'll have like a matched set of shocks. So we should have nice ride quality that matches on all four corners. Well, the Eibachs are in there, and it's time to finish off the front suspension with a new lower control arm. This is a Dorman arm from their premium lineup. And man, it is a big, beefy unit, as is the stock one. But unlike the stock one, this one isn't covered in rust. It's brand new, and as you saw with some of the ball joints, they were worn out, so having a new ball joint there is nice. And obviously we've ordered new OE lower bolts here for these two mounting positions. With the suspension wrapped up, we are now going to refresh the brakes, and these brakes have been on here for about 3 years, maybe 100,000 kilometers, and it's just time for a full refresh. So we could reuse the caliper and just change out the pads and rotors, but this kit from Power Stop, I believe it's called the Z32 kit, comes complete with pads, rotors, and calipers for under $1,000. And for that price point, we figured let's just refresh it all, and that way we'll have a nice, shiny new red caliper going on there to replace this other one, which has gotten a little rusty in 3 years in Canada. So that will go on there. The same rotor as before. It's a nice slotted and drilled. Don't want to drop that. It is a nice slotted and drilled rotor. Obviously, brand spanking new. And this one, as you can see, is rather worn down and rusty. And of course, a new set of brake pads as well. And we have found that these extreme Super Duty truck and tow brake pads, which is what also has been on here for the last 3 years, work very well. So they're not super bitey or super aggressive, even though they have the name Extreme in them. So they feel very much like a street pad, but when you really get on the pedal, it does slow you down very effectively, even when you're towing. And I do a lot of towing with this truck, including towing an enclosed trailer to Baltimore and back recently to pick up a certain ancient Toyota. So after 3 years of positive experience with this, we're just doing it all over again. All right, there we have it. Brakes done, suspension done. So we are gonna move on to the back now. And don't worry, once we have this truck back on the ground, we're gonna do a complete torque check on all the nuts and bolts.
You know the drill. The parking brake mechanism here is rusty. Thankfully, the one cable that we need, this one here that runs to the actual actuator inside the pedal, is working. This is supposed to live all the way over here. You can see there, it moves a little bit. It's got a little bit of room. This is supposed to, or movement. This is also supposed to move. It is seized up. And one of the parking brake cables, if you can see this one here, this one works. This one, however, is, well, you guessed it, seized. So here is the end of the working one, and you can see what happens is they fail here. They just rot out and they separate. And this one is at the point where it's still working, but who knows for how long, where the other one, moisture, water got in, seized it all up. So it is dead. Thankfully, We do have a bunch of replacements here from Dorman, which is nice. They make all of this stuff, the cables and the mechanism. However, it's gonna be time for some bolt buster action here to make sure that none of these bolts snap. So let's see how this goes. So this truck has been severely undercoated for many years, as you can see, which, you know, helps, but didn't certainly completely prevent the rust. And you can see the smoke that's coming off of this is that undercoating burning off. We will have to get a fan here, DP, because, geez,
It's
it's
like we're at a 90s nightclub under here now.
Yeah, except this is toxic, where, or more toxic. Maybe the nightclub was still pretty toxic, but we probably didn't even know.
I have brain damage
but
for
this
sure.
this is probably worse. So let's see now. Oh, let's see. Oh my God, I gotta get on the top here, which of course is also rusty.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're on so you don't strip it, because stripping it would not be great if you're on.
Turned.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of whether it's sheared or
No. This one, look at this.
All right.
There it is. See, and it's actually not in bad shape there. It's just always right at the end is where the rust is, and of course the top is just eaten away. Oh my God. Look at this. This is such a rusty mess.
Oh my God,
look at it, man. Look, but the cotter pin, DP, the cotter pin survived. And here is the one I mentioned from Dorman. And look at the difference. So what's, as you can see, every pivot point here and here is supposed to rotate. This doesn't. And you can see on this guy here, this is how it's supposed to work properly. So you pull the brake, it goes like that. So thankfully, we've got the replacement piece here. Now comes the fun task of removing the parking brakes. Oh my God. Heat is so key here. Look at this. Loosens this up. And by the way, some of you may be looking at the exhaust system, the muffler here, thinking, hey, there's supposed to be a piece of exhaust that runs further back. Well, guess what happened to that one? Yeah, that's right. It rusted off. So we will be addressing that later. And that in itself is a whole can of worms, because up front, the flanges are so rotted too that there's no chance we're going to be able to bolt the exhaust up. We're going to have to come up with like a custom solution to fit it on there. So anyways, this is almost the last one. We have one more bolt right underneath the gas tank. Perfect placement to be heating stuff up. This would be a situation where if you had to use the acetylene torch or the propane torch, not necessarily ideal. You can see it right here. And this is the gas tank. So this would be problematic, but the bolt buster is going to be completely safe there. So we're going to be good, and then we can finally pull this thing out. Parking brake cable out, and man, as I said, full seizure happening here. Not great. Here's your replacement from Dorman. Of course, it is silky smooth. See, that is how it's supposed to operate. You see, one end goes out and in. So with all of the new parts in here, I did end up using a Dorman parking brake hardware kit and replaced the brake shoes as well, just to make sure everything is new there. And there is a bit of a procedure to set this up. We're not gonna go through it. There's a great video that I'm gonna link in the top right corner to a gentleman who does this and explains in great detail how to dial in your parking brake, because these cars do have parking brake issues.
And just like the fronts, we have refreshed the rear brakes with everything from power stop. And as you can see, our rear shocks have seen better days. So let's swap something fresh in there for Maybach.
Oh, the Snoop Dogg Speed Academy shop here. Look at that. That is really pouring off there.
Place your bets, people. Is this gonna come off? Because that looked very, very rusty.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
It's turning for sure.
Moving?
Yep. Bolt buster to the rescue on this entire truck.
Every bolt and nut, I think we've used the bolt buster on.
Pretty
Except
much.
the big boys up front.
Yeah,
right?
like the 19s or 17s,
Yeah.
you can gun off, but anything smaller, and you gotta hit it with the heat. All right, let's have a look at this thing. Oh man, it's so crusty. Wow.
So
Show them the rust on the bottom of that, man.
yeah, that's for all you California, Texas, Arizona people. This is what you're missing out on by living in such a mild, dry climate. Wrapping up the rear end here, and we are obviously going to replace those rear shocks, and for that we are using iBox Sport Shock. These actually can come individually or as part of a kit where you don't have a coilover in the front but a replacement shock and spring, but we've obviously got coilers in front. We're going to set those to basically the stock ride height. So we're not going to raise the front, which means we don't need to raise the rear. But if we did want to raise the rear, iBox does make these really nice billet spacers, which you would put underneath the rear leaf spring. And of course, that kit also comes with like longer U-bolts and all the hardware you need to do that right. And you can order these in different heights or thicknesses so that you can, level your ride accordingly. Because we want to keep this truck basically at the stock ride height because we don't go off-roading, we don't have a huge tire package on it, and we basically tow and haul with it. We don't want to make it harder to get stuff in and out of the back of the truck. We're going to keep it at basically the stock ride height, so we don't need those blocks, but we certainly need these fresh shocks. By the way, before we install that shock, I want to show you the OE bushings that were on the OE shocks. They are completely trashed. I don't know how well you can see this guy, but it is just dried out and cracking. And when it gets compressed in insulation, it cracks open even more. So we did order OE replacements from Toyota up the road here at Red Hill Toyota. And there you can see the new stuff is on there now. So let's bolt
Hopefully
these up.
that improves a little bit of the ride quality.
I mean, visually they looked terrible. I don't know, they were probably still doing the job, but why not put in the fresh stuff while we're at it here? There you have it, iBox Sport shock in place, and that completes the suspension and brake transformation on this truck. It is looking much, much fresher back here, and I'm really excited to feel how it rides out on the street, but we're out of time because all that rust really set us back. It was a struggle up front dealing with those big bolts, but we got through it. And in the next episode, you will see us put on those HT Continental tires and deal with that exhaust system and much more. So stay tuned as we continue to make my Tundra good again.